And we are live. Hello, and welcome back to my HOI4 Let's Play series. This is Northstar. I hope you're well, taking care of each other, and being kind to yourselves. I'm here as Norway. Not Norway, Denmark. Broke free of Norway, which is sitting here. I did check on their doing the rest research slot. If they ever get their tag doesn't disappear after they lose what's technically considered to be a civil war. They're finally doing this. Then maybe someday they can be liberated and catch up in tech. But for now, yeah, they're just sitting there. They have this division here. I considered I promoted it and then went back, rolled back the save, delete the video. I'm not gonna mess with them. I had to GM some command power to do it, so I'm like, nope, I'll just not. So that hasn't happened in this timeline. I know all the interlocking timelines. It feels like, hey, in my Hearthstone series, I'm doing this, like all this stuff with the timeways being messed up. So interlocking timelines, it kind of fits. Anyways, I'm here as Denmark. I'm slowly developing. I'm locked out of the international market because when I declared independence, if you don't fight for it, apparently you don't get the. This is stupid. It's can access international markets, but that's tied to if they refuse. That should not be the case. It really shouldn't be. You get the units even if they don't refuse. So clearly, not being able to peacefully get independence was an afterthought in the game. It wasn't coded right. There's a lot of issues with it, and I did it because I didn't want to be at war with the Central Powers and stuff. As is, that it'd just be annoying, and I may want to side with them if anything. Otherwise, this game, I mean, HOI4 is kind of open-ended, but it'll be really hard to turn Denmark into any kind of major with the US controlling the world. If I get still too stuck with this, and the Central Powers get crushed anyways, even though I'm giving them Lend-Lease, probably volunteers, air volunteers at least later, then I might just roll back to the day zero save, play as Denmark, and anticipate that the Norwegians are going to attack, and instead go the loyalist route here, because you get a really nice seize the means of production, which is even communist themed in the name, even though usually historically you'd be fascist when doing this. You get a recruitable population factor on your political edicts that, will just stack with all the other stuff you get when you re-unlock your focus tree. Then if you successfully petition for independence with the loyalist thing, then you get all your focuses back. You can access the international market. Somewhere along here. I know it's all the way up here that you get access to the international market. So you can access the international market. You get permanently better national spirits, you get more industry, and you don't have to finagle with things, not fight. Here it makes sense, because siding with Norway would be doomed. But if I do that from the beginning of the game, just much more legit without messing with other nations too much, I can prevent all this from allying with the United States by, as Denmark, getting involved in the war, helping the Trotskyites here when, because they took the Trotskyite path, the Norwegian People's Republic, helped the Trotskyites win there. They even gave Trotsky political office, which they have as advisor, even though he's terrible, and they'd be better off with their trade unionist, communist advisor. Trotsky makes a decent general, but a terrible advisor. Which probably fits with historically. He was a bad civilian leader, but he was actually a good military leader. He was more of a logistician. He should probably have the logistics wizard trait, but relatively low overall skill. But the developers of this game buy into the myth that he was more of a frontline general, like personally risked his life, and he didn't. He created this mythos around himself, but Trotsky was more of he was a talented general in terms of handling military logistics. But he was bad at actually leading the combat part, so he should have high logistics skill and bad skill at everything else, and probably a logistics wizard trait. And yeah, that would make him niche useful, but whatever. But yeah, helping them win the Civil War, take down Sweden. Iceland pieces out when they become US puppet anyways if they can't be dealt with soon enough. Then go to Finland before they join America's faction. Yeah, it's a way to consolidate most of the Nordics except the Sapimi in this alt history, where, you know, they exist as separate nation. Yeah, could be interesting. It's a little easier than if you have to march troops all the way up here into Norrbotten, although that's where most of the mineral resources of Sweden are, so probably necessary to invade the Sapimi and end up having to go to war with the US. If not, by that point, is Denmark, it could justify, depending on little nations I don't intend to invade, try and exhaust the US guarantees. But they would probably still faction up if they're not capitulated very quickly, like paratroopers or something, so it might not be doable to... I don't know. But it could try. Even a small Nordics with Norway, Sweden, Denmark, and Finland would still be substantial enough to not have the game be kind of doomed. Here I am just with the tiny islands. The Danish, like, home isles, Bornholm, and Faroes. That's all I've got. 4 states. I am going to Jutland back, though I should eventually get this back. Once Norway surrenders. Southern Jutland will probably be annexed by the Austro-Hungarians, though. We'll see if I can change things. One of the first things I'm doing here is getting intelligence agency. The Rhenish Republic is a rich source of iron or steel. So, and they're very close to flipping communist already. So I'll send spies, try and flip them. If they have enough support, they should flip even before their elections. They can get events like demanding a referendum, I think. That will increase my trade influence in the Rhenish Republic and eventually maybe be able to faction up with them. Do the same to Thuringen as well, because they also have very high communist support and lots of natural resources. And then probably need to invade Hesse and Westfalen. Might be possible. Their stability is always 71%. If they don't run and improve worker conditions, actually, it might be possible to push communism. And they lose a little ruling power popularity, and they're below 70%. Do a coup, civil war, Westfalen. Basically trying to build up a faction. Communist powers, which, if they're independent, instead puppeted or annexed spy slots, which will enable them to continue doing this and build up a faction. To eventually maybe go to war with Prussia. Or possibly just set up another coup there. Basically, though, unite the Germanys into a faction. And having that spy base, enough spies from all that, maybe I can set my sights further abroad. Also, faction will improve relations and increase trade influence. The idea is to get access to the very limited, in this alt history, steel. And to a lesser degree, tungsten. Actually, not to such a small degree, since Bolivia can't be reached. So steel and tungsten, which are in these areas. Manpower, etc. It's going to be a slow build-up, and I may be forced into the Soviets can do pressure, ideologic rallies, pressure government, try and force me to become communist, or since I'm already communist, into their faction, or possibly become a puppet of theirs. Be interested to see if my focus tree gets a lot if I become a puppet again. I may try and... But yeah, I might get pressured into Central Powers, which could be bad if they're losing against the US, or I might defy them if they're losing. But for now, I need a peaceful build-up period. And to run up welfare state for the monthly population growth. Because this can be a stewish build-up with lots of action through spies and coups I set off in other countries, but avoiding direct confrontation, because start invading stuff in the US starts guaranteeing it. I will eventually probably do lightning wars against these two. If I can get a war justification with a US guarantee, I have a month to capitulate them before they join the America's faction if I time it right. Which isn't much time, so I'll need a really powerful military. For now, I'm instead lend-leasing these Soviets. Just pretty much all my stockpiles of this old, outdated stuff. As much as they had convoys for. You guys can see... There's Danish Civil Union. Anti-air guns, weapons 2. Improved anti-tank weapons, trucks, and improved artillery. Oh yeah, I can sign an NAP with them. Let's do that. Guess the Lend-Lease helps. Maybe. And an NAP there. Some states like this one have flipped communists randomly on their own. Moldova. Trying to spread Marxism around the world, and Xinjiang. Strategic situation keeps shifting. Turning some of the Soviet republics here Marxists as well can help. I need to eventually become spy master and have 10 operatives. Then, only then will I have a prayer of doing anything about the United States. Which could be just an absolute menace. Oh yeah, I think it's England has decisions based around forming NATO. Although they be communist and they need Belgium in their faction. They basically, it's not going to happen. But apparently that can happen even if, I guess it'd be an anti-capitalist NATO instead of a anti-communist one. Historically it was really an organization for anti-communism and wasn't about protection against the Soviet Union. No, it invaded Libya and Yugoslavia, both socialist countries, after the Cold War was over. It bombed them anyways. It's always been about anti-communism. You know, they're what they say they're about, what they're really about, are two very different things. They're liars. Anyways. How long till they get this set of Lend-Lease and do another 21 days, 3 weeks. Xinjiang is in the Central Powers. There are some communist ones in it. Mongolia is not, and will be conquered into it eventually by nationalist China. They'll do the one China policy. They won't target Xinjiang because they're in a faction with them, but despite having wars, but they will march into Mongolia and probably Tibet, or maybe because they don't want to conquer Tibet. Actually, that's below the one China policy, or integrate Tibet. Let's do anti-communism and end up invading Tibet if they turn communist naturally. Well, that's funny. Subjugate or conquer for the cores. Either way, they're victorious. So yeah, all China will be consolidated, including Mongolia, which is definitely not China. And they'll come from Manchukuo and probably the Asian Federation, which means they'll also get Belgium. Hey, if they can overwhelm Switzerland, Venetia, or in France and stuff, push through here, Iberian Peninsula, and then end up the Low Countries, they just might have enough industry and stuff to hold off the US for a very long time, or even win. As doubtful as that seems. Press X to doubt. The way the game is, when under AI control, nobody can beat the United States. Pretty much whichever side they end up on is almost guaranteed to win world wars, so. especially where there's a small Soviet Union here, and the United States actually gets buffed by their leader traits. Like, this is even more the case than normal. If I'd realized the US wouldn't be fragmented, I might have not done this fragmented world, or at least not fragmented the Soviets, because someone has to be a counterweight to them. This is like the wet dream of the neocons, of the neoliberal capitalists who run the United States. But neocons are more aggressive. They're neoliberals and neoconservatives are basically the same thing. They just, neoconservatives are more aggressive in terms of invading other countries. They're both right-wing capitalists, despite the name liberal there, which might be misleading. It's because the word liberal means different things than how it's used in the US usually. But this is a neocon wet dream to fragment Russia and the Soviet Union historically already did, and reduce it to a even smaller than this, actually. They'd probably want all this area to be microstates. And then dominate the world, bring it all into their faction, and use it to dominate China. Of course, here they'll just invade China. And ignore these states. But anyways, there needs to be a counterweight against the US. A big, historical-sized Soviet Union might have a chance of at least bloodying them. But I doubt even when they're not being attacked by Germany here, and instead Germany doesn't exist and they're in alliance with the Central Powers. I highly doubt the Central Powers can do anything to the US. It's just not enough industry and manpower on their side. And for some of you, like, oh, it's a huge faction. 911 to 1.31k factories in the North American Alliance, plus Shanxi, I guess. Is it? I guess that's not even the one that shows Northern National Anti-Fascist. Yeah. Somewhere it shows the one that's got the US Land Turkish War. Nope. Card Nowhere, that's down in Ethiopia. Northern International, but well, somewhere the Central Powers are at war with the US faction. So anyways, the point is, you can see their insane amount of the Central Powers actually have a huge amount of industry too. 751 to 1.14k factories. But it's not on the level of the US faction and their allies. It's there's just not a prayer. They'll lose unless they can gobble up a lot of stuff and actually form collab governments, which AI is too stupid to do because they're constantly, oh no, I want occupation of the state. I want occupation of the state. They'll constantly hand off occupation, never build the compliance for collab governments. It's ridiculously stupid. And they have way more issues with resistance than they should this way. Even states they own that are non-core, they'll often trade off like this. So it's just, they're not going to they're having resistance in France and stuff. They're just doomed. I guess they can actually puppet this blue area. And potentially this. Which, isn't the Asian Confederation in war with, yeah, the Central Powers. So the Low Countries of northern France, they can... Everything southern, the North American Alliance states that just become governments in exile in the U.S. still feed some manpower in the industry of the United States, and even political power, and they'll never form collab governments in any of these states. The AI is too dumb to do it. It requires human players who are smart enough to just keep a state under a stable occupation with lax occupation laws for something like 7 years straight without change of hands or any liberation state. It's not going to happen. Yep. With very limited exceptions, the Soviets might manage a Polish collab government because they have claims, and so they're less likely to hand off occupation, anything they have a claim on. So They might hit off western Poland. Basically the part that's level to eastern Poland, though. They have a claim on this, and Hungary is... We'll see. Maybe. Soviets might manage a one collab government in Poland, but it's not going to be enough. As long as they're having to occupy this territory, the Americans will beat them down, because they'll have so much more manpower. Collab governments, of course, get core manpower on what they control, so that's why it's so important. Heck. Greece and Macedonia are still holding out here. City of Thessalonica, this little port near Ionia, and some troops in the mountains west Sofia. Yeah, it's like they can't even finish off that pocket. Nevertheless, push these guys out of Tyrol, which can't even defend their own cores. Stupid AI. Alright. So my navy is training. Oh, what the heck? Oh, these are the destroyers. I wondered where they were. And I call this actually main. Wait. Convoy escorts. I guess a single cruiser provides range, but they don't really need the range with all the basing rates right now. Guess I should set these guys to all train, not just to regular. Need the Navy XP. I'll need it to build my Marine Corps eventually. Alright, advanced computing machine done. I tech juggled 30 days into that. Now I'll save up and tech juggle into the rifles there. 30 days into that. So when this says 31 days, I'll have 30 to add. Just be 1 day. Which means it's really 31 days till I can start infantry equipment 3. Eventually I'll do it with atomic research. Tech juggle like that. Yeah. Producing lots of aircraft. You got very limited manpower. Aircraft are definitely the way to go. Heavy investment in aircraft. Can't even buy weapons on the international market, annoyingly. So that severely limits my options. I can build Civ because I can only run so many mill, but I'm gonna be building mill even if they're running at very low resource rates, high resource penalties, because this reduced my lack of resource penalty actually. Excavation technology research speed, huh? But excavation techs are still industrial, so I can swap to that and the same. So after I finish the infrastructure in the Faroe Islands, I might consider, when I have the power, swapping for the resource penalties. And to limit exports, thinking this allow me to access the international market, it doesn't. But I actually do get more. I'm getting 4 factories from trade, and I have to give away 3 to replace some of the steel I won't have this way. It's about even, but a little faster construction and factory dockyard output, so it's come out slightly ahead with limited exports. If I'd known it wouldn't allow international market, though, I might not have prioritized it so much, or gone all the way to... Apparently it's only 1% research speed, I might have gone to export focus. These techs are so important. It is pretty late game, And this isn't like Road to 56, so the techs give out. So, eh. These guys are almost done training the cav reserves. I have, all these heavy infantry. I should question why I have them. I'm not likely to go into war. I guess because I'm only going to grind so much stuff into Army XP. Mostly I'll lend-lease even older rifles to the Soviets. Let them arm their whole populace and be a huge pain in the ass to the United States. They still have a lot of core manpower even without the eastern areas, which are not that densely populated. Well, 1.95 million, okay, some of them are. If I end up bullying the Central Powers, I'll probably go justifying those little countries. Try and, you know, even occupy the territories more valuable than not part of the faction, so if I can get occupation, I can work towards a collab government there. But trying to stay neutral if I can. Just run my focuses for now. Catch up in tech, fix some of the problems the AI created by not running techs in the right order. And not cooperating. Wherever probably under AI, they would have just gotten conquered that way, so whatever. Can't be too annoyed, I guess. Whatever. They could have run more of their military tree before they capitulated, probably. I say that, but they may have been, the Norwegians may have declared on like in 37 or something. Really early. Why are they canceling their AP? I don't know. Possibly because when I'm feeding equipment to the Soviets and they don't love it. AI isn't able to. And the fading bonuses from one Lisa gave them, or the AI gave them, I wouldn't do that. So I have these two divisions, Arctic training in northern, it's actually Finland. Oh, they've reached 100%. Of course they have. I've been ignoring them too long. Could bring back to Denmark and first and second Arctic divisions be good for volunteers in cold countries. But I don't have enough divisions to send volunteers anywhere. Guess they can hand it here. No, actually. Should count Copenhagen. And someone's got to be. First and second Arctic. Yeah, the fourth and fifth Copenhagen divisions can go. Take over. Their winter training. I'll even call this the 3rd and 4th Arctic Divisions. But if I'm going to actually send volunteers, especially this many volunteers, eventually, 4 divisions worth, I probably need to take the other heavy infantry. No one's going to attack me soon enough to matter. The ones that add some XP because they were converted from downski brigades, I'll probably keep it. The smaller ones need to convert to something small. Like, training, rear guards. And then they can just grind more equipment to Army XP and add to my division count for volunteer purposes. Got newer rifles, but whatever, I've got a ridiculous surplus. I'm sure the Soviets won't miss it, and you know what? How are they so undersupplied with weapons? They were previously shipping getting new ones. Heavy infantry aren't. There's not some weirdness with equipment. Nope. I have a modicum of cold acclimatization. Just gonna disband them. Train new guys with garbage older rifles, and they'll grind those into Army XP. The Soviets could use the newer submachine gun ones. So these are really the 3rd and 4th Odense divisions. Probably gonna want more. I'll put the 3rd here. If I were to actually face invasion. Yeah. What? The ring doesn't matter. 1, I'll order it in the order I see it here. 2. 3. 1, 2, no, 3, 4. How many other divisions have to have some XP? Then the dense ones. Not many. 2nd Copenhagen Division, which will become the 1st. The one that was named the 1st, I'm going to disband. For returning equipment. Arctic ones were based on Donsky divisions, okay. But no, these are newer Arctic. Barrows division here. Let's go expand this. I'll send someone else to guard the Faroes Islands. Same with Bornholm. They don't have experience. They weren't Arctic trained. Especially Arctic trained. Though it's possible those were fully Arctic. Climatized, I don't know. I may have too many that are. These aren't really Arctic. Nope. Oh, no. I don't love that they're misordered, but I'm at the all get to full. I'm just gonna 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th Arctic. Four divisions. Boy, climatize. The 6th Copenhagen. Got the 1st. First Copenhagen. Second Copenhagen. 3rd? I'll probably actually disband this after the... What? Disband it now. So 2 of the Arctic divisions and 2 of the Copenhagen purely. 1st and 4th Arctic, or I don't want to completely get rid of my military too soon. And this will allow a whole bunch more of these guys to train. Boom. Guess I don't have enough of the garbage equipment for them. Skill division. Three divisions. Copenhagen is urban. 1 here. People do reserve stuff there. Mostly. Five training divisions. A whole bunch more. Guard Hussar divisions. Regiment. I'll just call this the 1st Cavalry. You know what? His regiment is fine. They're a small number. Gives me a clue they're small. Don't have stuff earmarked for the market. Okay, so these guys will also need some newer rifles. They're pretty much all the same. I could give them the ones that have 100% reliability. But that also helps the org regain. Soviets will... What? It's so slow to turn stuff into XP. Just give them the worst equipment. Should see this get updated. Boom. And now I'll disable that again. Just need enough to finish training. Mostly finish it. They'll get deployed and then they'll exercise pretty much endlessly. All 19 of these divisions. This guy will have full 24 divisions under his training command. Cool. There'll still be very little army XP from exercises. Maybe 0.02 a day or something. Like 6 army XP a year. Better than nothing. At some point I would prefer with or charge the army, but whatever. Drill does help get these guys out quicker. Don't have the political power. Alright, that was inevitable. The Soviets declared on Latvia. Should probably join the US faction and become another government in exile. Might not though, Estonia didn't. Join the British Communist Alternative, so it won't actually... Communist nations don't get the government exile mechanics. Whatever.